I guess by now, of wanted guide series, and this time we're gonna actually just try and understand kind of how to look at the map, how to read a map, and how to create a tactic from zero. So instead of like just giving you tactics, what I want to do is basically create a tactic with you. Not to create a particularly good tactic, it's just gonna be something, yeah. Because what's really important is, in the end, a tactic needs to be tested, refined, looked at in-game, to check out the positions, tested, refined, you copy tactics from enemies and so on. But at least to kind of give you a general idea of how to make a decent tactic when you're new to a map, and how to kind of look at the map and learn what you can do. And kind of explain my train of thought when I create a tactic. I'm gonna take the example of camping on Ensk because of, I don't know, something I came up with, and Ensk is a kind of a straightforward map, at least in some sense. So yeah, we're gonna have a look at that. If you're gonna be camping on Ensk, it's normally always gonna be side 1, because side 1 is defense and side 2 is attack. Although there can be like exceptions in SH War, Stronghold War. In Clan Wars it's always gonna be like that. Obviously in skirmishes I really don't recommend camping. I don't recommend camping particularly in general. But it's a tactic you see quite often, which is relevant. And we're gonna kind of talk about what matters and what not, and so on. So what matters if you're camping? First of all, that you can't get pushed frontally. Second of all, that you decap. If you've got those two covered, you don't lose, right? So that's pretty good. So how do you do that? Well, to make sure you can't get capped, there's one issue on this map. It says rubble. From either side, a batch can rush behind it, or a hold down tank from some cases. And as long as unless you manage to kill it getting in, which isn't that guaranteed, there's no way of decapping it unless you kind of have this area, or you have RT. So that's why most likely we're going to end up taking RT to decap, to be able to make sure we can do that. Also for some other reason, which we'll come to later. Second of all, we have to pick like where we want to camp, right? Camping here seems pretty stupid because we just get surrounded. So there's basically the choice of camping on this part of the map if we want to camp, or maybe even this. Maybe even aggressively. And then kind of the same thing over here, from like the super camp to the kind of more open camp. And then I guess finally you do also have a kind of a camp, maybe you can go up to here. That's definitely the furthest you can go is this line though, if you want to still be able to defend the base against this quickly. I personally would prefer this side because you've got more hard cover and cover against RT. So you basically have a better chance of just camping it out if it comes down to that, than the enemy having more RT or something. Although you can definitely also camp on this side at some point we're going to choose. So for now, we're going to go with the most common and strongest camp, which is over here. So what exactly do we need to have? What positions do we need to have? Which areas, right? What's strong? Well, what's really strong are these two rubble window thingies. This one allows you to completely deny this line of access with just like one hold down tank. Also, you can have also non-hold down tanks such as 50Bs, which just keep peeking in the window and farm massive damage. Also, then you can have more than one. Even hold down tanks, you can have more than one here. And this one allows you to get some pretty decent spots on this, especially if you destroy the walls here. You can sometimes even spot all the way through. Same here. Spots on this, and so on, you know, shots when they cross, and so on and so on. So very nice map control from this area. Plus, if you have this, you also kind of have some cross shots into this general area. Like, it's not like you're completely out of the fight in the north, right? You're really quickly over here and so on. Also, this allows you to at least shoot them here if they're crossing really aggressively and so on. And it's really important that we don't lose this line, if that's possible, because that's a pretty pretty important to the cap. So if we're able to come back here and decap at any time, that's really, really nice, right? Because we have to be able to cover this position if possible. And you can't decap this from here, to make that clear. Then here we have a bunch of not destructible buildings, and then we have a bunch of destructible buildings, and then we have one not destructible building over here. We don't want to use this building because it can get shot from all the way over here, or even from RT down here. So this building is pretty damn bad. Maybe sometimes you'll see a tank there, but I really don't like it because the tank here also, if they take this, is completely stuck. There's no way for this guy to drive out and like join the fight here or something. If there's just like one gorilla here, you know, or 150B standing here, it's just gonna take so much damage for completely free. So we want to take these positions and put tanks kind of side scraping, and partially you can also destroyed walls, put tanks all down here. To know like where exactly, we're gonna have to go in actually in game, or just decide in game. If you want to be super prepared, you can go in game and check out the exact positions you want. Otherwise, we can do that in game. Then we definitely, the most important thing is that we are covered against a push from here. So either over here, or over here, we're gonna have a really strong setup towards this side. Considering that we're camping, going all the way here while covering this is going to be pretty tricky, unless we only rely on having like a spotter here and coming back to defend. So I would rather say that we set up back here using this, and then these guys can also shoot down here in case they're pushing into us, right? With just a couple tanks like on the front line here, with a lot of HP. We want those tanks so that we can have control of this open field by having tanks here. Along with this, we have complete control of this area and like really nice cross shots from here into this. So we don't give up complete map control. And also maybe we can catch up bad shot scouting at the beginning and stuff like that. Because if you give up too much map control, you're going to lose the game. When you're camping, you're always counting on the enemy kind of taking time to realize that you're camping. So being a bit more aggressive also is pretty nice in that regard. Because that way they don't, immediately realize. They just see you standing here first of all, and not immediately see that you're actually like set up really defensively over here. And then we want to have like a layered defense, right? With like tanks behind, which basically here, for example, here, and here, and here, which would wreck the enemy if they come in for these guys. So here in the back, we want to have like more mobile, really high damage output tanks. That could mainly be autoloaders. Or here in the front, we're gonna want to have tanks which really take a lot of damage. Also, I'm pretty sure that on this Ensk, we would want the bat chat somewhere in a bush. So let's start with that. We want the bat chat in a bush to be able to spot. I'm putting it here randomly. I really don't know where the bushes are, but we want to find a bush which spots all of cap and also spots kind of this area as far as possible. And then if we're really camping, you just give that guy both Camonet, Binox, and Coffee, and he can have insane view range even into this, and it makes it way harder for the enemy to use this area. And for example, way more risky for the enemy to relocate his arty over here. So we know that the enemy arty is going to be conflicted to this, or at least this, which gives us way more knowledge in picking what we need to be arty safe from in our positioning over here and here, right? Because if it can be here, it can shoot into this, for example, while from down here it can't shoot into these crossroads, so we're pretty damn safe. So that's pretty good. Then, like I said, we want an arty to decap. You could even play with two arties in Ensk defense, but for that you would really need a solid tactic on everything else. If that makes sense, like then the camp would have to be very solid so that you can actually hold it with 12 tanks because you have a bat chat and two arties not shooting. So we're just gonna go with one arty, and it'll either be, oops, not a bat chat of course. Let me erase that. You can kind of choose which. I won't do that for you in this case. Sometimes I would be very definite, but here 261 makes sense if you really are worried about the decaps, because it can always reload fast enough to decap, or even the batchet RT if you want to like make sure you can decap for around 2 minutes straight, as long as the RT is smart enough to hold its shots. It can just every time shoot when the cap gets to 70, 80, and even in case it misses, just shoot right again at 95, or 65 you shoot the first time, then at 98. You're loaded for the second shot in case you miss the first, and otherwise you have to hold your shot so that you are not empty too quickly. Conqueror can make sense because it can do way more damage in general. An M53 can make sense because it's got the arc and so on. Of nearly not quite a Conqueror, right? But it's got some nice arc, but it has better reload than the Conqueror, so it's better for decapping. And even a GW100 in this situation might actually be one of the best archers because it's got a nice, really high damage output, so anyone in cap will really get wrecked. But it also reloads fast and is accurate, and you don't do any driving because you're going to be camping. As long as you find a position where the shitty cam won't shoot side of the GW, it doesn't matter too much. So we want to have an RT in the back if we are camping. That much makes sense, I think. Then we want to have tanks in the front. Over here, right? Let's go back. We want to have tanks here to do the front line work. And we want to have a tank up here also. This would be a tank with a very strong turret, but we also want to make sure he's got high view range and that he can snipe, right? We want something accurate. An IS-7 in here would be pretty bad because it wouldn't do much damage. Doesn't have a we want something with a high damage output and which is accurate, so it can also snipe down here and spot something down here. So you could put an E3 in here if you want. You really could. You could go. No, I wouldn't go with an IS-4. You could go with a 215B if you're ready to give up a bit on. If you don't count an enemy like having literally E3s down here, and you want to have a high damage output. Let me think. I wouldn't go with an E5. I wouldn't go with a T57. I wouldn't go with like an SCB or anything. I would probably go with an E3. If we really are gonna camp, if we really say, okay, we're camping this, I would put one E3 in there. I would check that the E3 actually has a gun depression. I'm not exactly sure, but I think so. And just give that E3 binocs and camo net, and then just stand there, and it won't get spotted, and it just, you know, spots the enemy in time and shoots them. Then in here we would want maybe even a medium, or maybe something like a 215B, or maybe something like an E4. But we're gonna go with a 215B because that's a really nice tank. Or maybe even 50Bs. But we can have the 50Bs in support, and then we have a 215B actually aggressively in the window, spotting and peeking and using his turret. So we have a 215B there, and if you really want to be good about this, you know, it's really Clown Wars camp and you're really preparing for it, you make sure that the guy actually has optics and can spot all the way. For here, good question. We could use another E3, but it would be really slow in coming back here, right? We wouldn't want that. And joining the fight again. Same for going back here, plus it might have to move because of RT and so on. So it doesn't sound like the best idea. A really good tank to lock this down might be an IS-4 actually. But I think in this, like for that, really any tank is going to be pretty damn OP, and it doesn't matter too much. But let's put an IS-4 here, okay? Because it's really just not going to get panned, and it's also a nice tank to have as an addition in the frontline brawl here, if it comes to that. What's going to be really important is we want to have autoloaders here to pre-aim this corner, so that because if they do this, right, they're going to be spotted, for example, like this, or even like this. They'll be spotted by the E3, sure, but pretty damn late. So these tanks won't have like time to react and fall all the way out. They will be trapped if they rush from here and here at the same time. And even from here if they go like this. We will have the information, we will see them coming, we will know they're coming, but we won't have insane time to react. So we want to make sure that we have a lot of tanks either here or even here, pre-aimed on this corner so that when they come around, they just get annihilated. And for that we want autoloaders, and I would actually put T-57s. I'd maybe do, I don't know, it's just an example, yeah? Again, this tactic, it's not like you have to do this tactic, I'm just kind of showing you how it works to create a tactic. So we would want maybe two T-57s here. And maybe a 50B instead. Maybe Crown Wagons are better now, but actually for this I think 57 might be better. Because of the DPM. Then we put a 50B over here. Because the 50B can also very carefully, if the E3 spots something, peek here through the window and help with sniping. It's more accurate. And also since its position is like kind of further away, it'll also be faster at coming in the fight if needed after the clip. And also since 50B is better at sniping, it could be better off than from here on, and it's faster. Joining over here to snipe into this direction, right? Or from behind this building or whatever, it doesn't really matter. So for those of you like, we'll put a 50B there, spamming APCR, and then we have two 57s here. And that means that if they're rushing in here, like the first two tanks, or three tanks even, because you have an E3 shooting and have heavy shooting, the first three tanks just get immediately annihilated, don't even get to do any damage. And especially if that's autoloaded, it's really, really good to take out tanks immediately. And they just stand here and pre-aim this. And then we're going to have something similar here, but first let's put some tanks up here actually. Here's kind of a hold down position, so we're going to want to have a hold down tank for that, not actually like an E100. Here, less so. We do probably also want to have a tank up here to help shoot into this, although he can fall back if needed. But we don't want to take these front areas, yeah? At very most with one tank to spot, but there's not really need, because like from here we can spot through this, right, from this rubble. Oh yeah, this is another hold on position to use. Probably like IS-4 side scripting here would be really good on this rubble. Then we have an IS-4 here behind the window. This guy spots here, this guy, or even this guy can kind of spot this. So I would say we put 1, 2, 3 IS-4s. Let's go like that. IS-4s are really nice on Ensk because they're small, so they fit next to each other and they have less of a size issue than E100s pushing. So if you actually manage to track E100s, you can really dominate them quite well, especially defensively. So we want one there, one there, one there. We don't want an E100 here because of size issues. This one might have to fall back. Like if he just keeps on getting spotted by a guy here and RT'd from the field, then and our RT can't shoot back and so on, then this guy might have to just fall back to here, but that's not much of an issue. And then we would want, at least for now, let's put 2 E100s. For extra beefiness and just stuff, and just for standing on this corner. So those are not like, these don't even peek over here and so on. Yeah, they don't even side script maybe once for a first shot. But the main role is just to stay safe and stay unspotted, so they don't get spotted stupidly, they don't get shot in the turret, you know, by like a side scraping E3 here and so on, or stuff like that. They just stay safe. And then whenever the enemy pushes in, they're like 5,400 HP and 1,500 alpha. So that you have like E3 and the 2 100s can one-shot one guy, and the 50B and the 257s can clip 2 more people, and that's 3 people dead. So that's really nice. Then you still have the IS-4 and so on. Now, if they push in here, they're going to be in a bunch of crossfire, right? Because wherever they come, they have 2 100s on one side, 2 IS-4s here, another IS-4 here. If they come in here, you're going to have this guy and this guy also shooting. But we still want some guys here also. Obviously, these guys can move. How many tanks are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're actually going to have issues soon. 11. So we only have 4 tanks left. We also need some tanks over here, right? So. I think here there is a really good position for an E3. If not, like you're gonna have to go map tech in game and training room maybe or whatever to find it. But I think there's a really good position for an E3 here. We don't need that huge amount of tanks over here actually, because if we see them coming from here with our bat chat, we can relocate. For example, 1 or even 2 of the IS-4s can no problem come here, or even 3, right? We really need 1 to spot this and someone to spot this area, and we're covered if we know they're over here, and we just need to see the rotation in time. So we need 1 E3, and I would put a second tank somewhere. Not knowing which building. Not over here though, you don't want to be up here in front, yeah? This is a pretty bad position because then you just get crossfired from over here and over here. So I'll put a heavy symbol without any notation. And you kind of should go and try out what works best. What can side script, maybe what can hold down. Maybe, for example, even you can go hold down in here or something. With an I7 or something like that. Maybe you want an E5 to side script and snipe, or 215B even like all the way back here, right? Sniping might be an option. So I would say go training room and test that out. What works out best, really. And then I would just say we add 3 50Bs. Do we have 3 tanks left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait, I forgot 11. We have 15 tanks now. So that's kind of gonna be it. Okay. If I look at this right now, I feel like it's lacking in sniping and mobility. Like it's a bit too campy for a camp. Obviously this guy can turn around and shoot here. I'm gonna remove 1 IS-4 and add another 50B. Who goes over here kind of as a standard position. Oh, 59. You understand, it's a 50B. He can go here to support in case they're pushing over here and get the clips going. And also he can relocate as well this 50B and this guy, right? They can go over here and snipe in this area if they're pushing here. First of all, with a 57 staying at security here at all times. Then we have the 215B here. And that way, let's think again about the angles we want to have covered, yeah? If the enemy pushes from here, they run into a murder's trap. If the enemy pushes from here, they get pretty much constantly bitten and shot by these 2 guys and are driving into a bunch of tanks, and then these guys come forward, this 50B comes forward, and this 50B can also peek here and demolish them. Plus they'll be spotted really in advance, so really, if you really see a lot of tanks coming here, these 57s will already be here waiting, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 tanks shooting them. Not gonna work out too well, so that should be covered. Pushing here or here should also not really work, because these guys, these 4 at least, even if 57s are not in position to see the cross and, you know, shoot through the road, at least those 4 will get a bunch of damage in. Then the enemy kind of comes into here. We'll probably take out the 215B, the IS-4 can then kind of stay safe. These guys come in as long as you react quickly and get the E100s back on the front line, and stuff like that. You have an E3 then, which is going to cover them and, you know, just rape them over here. As well as this guy who's sidestepping somewhere. That should work out pretty fine. You might even want to consider... No, I think you shouldn't consider changing much. You have the Batchet over here, spotting. Maybe the bushes over here or something. Yes, I don't really know what bushes there are. Very important to destroy the walls, of course, at the beginning of the game. But that way you have the cap covered. If they are really over here, you relocate this over here. Possibly even, for example, you put the 215B here to snipe, and you put the IS-4 here to cover this area. Or if they're really aggressive, you keep the 215B here to snipe on this and just put out damage if they really push. And get the IS-4 from here on the front line over here behind the building sidescaping. As well as, for example, one of these. You don't always need 2 tanks over here is what I'm trying to say. If they're playing more in this area, also this 50B can come join over here. Well, this 50B's starting position even should be over here. In one of the windows, trying to get sneaky shots when they're crossing and these guys are spotting. And then after that he can relocate here where he's less likely to get spotted and shot by RT. And react depending on what's happening. Okay, I think that's kind of everything covered. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains how to look at a tactic, look at a map, get a tactic going. I'll be doing this for many different maps and try to kind of go through different tactics. I hope this was useful. Please really tell me in the comments if you liked this. If you did, please like and share, because I really want to know if I should do more of these videos or if I just leave them be and concentrate on other things. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye bye.